among ethnic minorities.
Oh, do you know what? You see, they're making that out, yeah, to sound so bad, yeah, about a couple of police officers getting a bit injured. And then saying a dog. Well, obviously it must be a police dog then that got injured, which I don't agree with injuring any animal or any police officer. But at the end of the day, what have they got police dogs? What did they have police dogs out for? They don't do that with Palestinians, do they? I wonder why they don't do that with the Palestinians to get police dogs out.
They
Oh
don't
yeah,
need
because they
a
don't
read
like
the
doggies, do they? They don't like doggies. Yet they think that's so bad. Fucking hell. Have they not seen what's going on in Europe?
What's up, guys? It's Angela. So, currently in the UK, people are becoming fed up.
So many people are baffled. How is it that you can have leftists and Islamists teaming up? How does that work? So many people are baffled. How is it that you can have leftists and Islamists teaming up?
And the Jews,
How does
the
that
fucking
work?
gay people and all that.
Leftist principles, they
Blacks,
believe in
good, but
pro-LGBT,
together with the
pro-trans,
Muslims. Yeah,
pro-women's
it's all
rights,
fucking together.
whatever they want, all that kind of stuff.
Pro this,
very
pro that.
liberal. On the other hand, Islamists are anti all those things.
Which I've been saying.
Religious authoritarian control.
Every other videos I've done, I've said
they
that,
really
mate.
despise religion. How do we make sense of it? Well, it was inevitably going to crack eventually.
Well, I've been saying this, and why are African black people sticking up with the Islams?
Well, why is it happening up until now?
I'm going to say I mean being funny, but I think the African black people need to go away and have a look for what's really going on in Africa by the Islam people, because I am an English white person and I've seen it and it's pretty horrendous. So what they're doing to black people in Nigeria because they're Christians. And then they blame, I'm not being funny, but all these African people, I think they've got the wrong end of the sticks. I think they need to be educated properly, and they're not being educated properly because our governments are corrupted. They don't want anybody to be educated properly. That, I'm sorry, but as for slavery goes, yeah, to the African black people, as being an English white person, now I know what I know about my family. I've got it here, just been writing about it. 34 generations worth of English. 1,405 years ago, I've got within my family. I am not British, I'm fully English. And I've never been to school or whatever, but I do know this, yeah, because obviously I've been learning it slowly. And England, although some black Africans did get slaved, I'm not saying they didn't, in England, and Jews got slaughtered in England. We, in England, the English, also got slaughtered fighting Hitler for the Jews, and also fighting Islamists and all of whatever to save the Africans being enslaved. So it wasn't the English slaving the Africans, although some of them did get slaved when they did come to England. I'm not saying they didn't. But I've looked at this slavery thing and what's been going on and what's happened. However, from the way I see this, I'm not being funny, but the ones that did come to England and did get slaved in England, I'm not saying it was correct. I'm not saying that should ever have happened, but the ones that came to England got slaved in a different way to what they were slaved in an Arabic country, in a Muslim Arabic country. They got slaved in a different way, as if to say, basically, you would be cleaning the rich person's shoe. And some of the black African women, I'm not saying that every white family, English family at the time, and there wasn't the odd bastard out there that wouldn't rape women and do things like that, because obviously there was. There must have been the odd ones that were twats to do that sort of stuff. But considering to the way Islam treat the black Africans, I think they treat them and moot the bits off, chop the women's tongues off. What they do in Islam to the black Africans is far worse than what the English have ever did, what the English people ever did to them. And as well, what the Islamist people do to the Jews is probably just as bad as what Hitler's done. And the English, we got slaughtered fucking... My granddad's and bits, part of my family, got slaughtered with fighting Hitler. My granddad survived the sinking battle. And he also did, obviously, I think he also did bring a lot of African people back on the boat at the time, you know, what he could do, you know, to save them African people from being slaughtered in Islam and places like this. Maybe not my granddad, I think it was my great-granddad that was on that, but it's different ship, so I think it was my great-granddad that did that with the African people, not my granddad. But, you know, and then we get called in England. I understand why we do get called, because of fucking King Charles. You know, the King Charles is a twat. Not even English.
So many people are baffled. How is it that you can have...
And I'm baffled about this. How can they put the gay thing with Islam? And Black Lives Matter? So are they trying to say everybody in Palestine is gay and black? I don't think there's many black people in Palestine, and I assume there's not very many gay people in Palestine. And I mean, to be quite honest with you, I am sick of this gay stuff. I mean, I don't know about the rest, but I'm not into this fucking gay stuff. This ideology of all of that. No. That's not allowed in a Catholic Christian church. Not allowed in the Bible. In the Bible, in a church, Catholic church, it's just a no-go area. And I mean, I don't know where these people are coming from, because there must be... You see, yeah, these people, mate, are born with all these ideologies is because they're all half-breeds. If I was a dog, well, maybe I wouldn't get slaughtered in Islam, because I'd be classed as a full pedigree working dog. And I wouldn't be black, I'd probably be classed as a full working retriever or a full British bulldog. Or, well, maybe, I could be sheepdog, but I'm not Welsh. So I'd have to be more English. Poodle. An English poodle. Which would probably get me chopped off by Islam then, wouldn't I? Because gay people are not fucking... The gays and the blacks ain't welcome in Islam. Well, the African Christians ain't.
So many people are baffled.
Yeah.
How is it that you can have leftists and Islamists teaming up? How does that
everything.
Work?
Black lives matter, that lives matter.
They believe in pro-LGBT, pro-trans,
yep,
pro-women's rights, whatever they want, all that kind of stuff. Very liberal.
Whatever they want.
On the other hand, Islamists are anti all those things.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of want religious authoritarian control.
All things, thank you.
Left against that, don't they? Really despise
religion. Black lives matter.
How do we make sense of it? Well, it was inevitably going to crack eventually, and hopefully we're starting to see that happen more and more now. But the other question is, well, why has it happened up until now? What is it that unites them? And I want to talk about what it is.
Yeah,
that
what is
unites
it?
them,
What
towards the end of this video.
are they trying to say? They're in
Let's
this game,
first start off by
Palestine, and
seeing how
everybody's
the
like,
cracks are now
yeah.
emerging. It's quite funny to watch, to be honest, if the whole thing wasn't so sad. But this is a Green Party activist.
And then I was going to say, and then this
candidate
is
for
really
Birmingham-
pretty sad. They put all that together, and I've been saying this. What does children's lives in Palestine got to do with gay life matters and black lives matters? What has children's lives in Palestine got to do with any of that? How can you, I don't think, well, what's children's lives? If it's from Palestine or from there, what has children's lives got to do with Black Lives Matter and fucking gay life matters? Well, is that a child? Well, I'll tell you what it's probably got to do with, yeah, because they're turning everybody into a fucking faggot. Well, try tell Islam that. I'm going to say, I mean, I've already said it, you know, I've already seen these gay bastards, yeah, and I'm not being funny, but it's just blue hairs and all of this. No, I'm sorry. And I just don't know where that's come from. I mean, who the fuck would do this? Who would fucking do that? And I'm sorry, but I've already said it. When GL comes to start chopping anybody's head off, yeah, I hope he chops their heads off first. You better chop these gay faggots' heads off first. Thanks. Before he comes and chops mine off, he better chop theirs off first.
City Council in the UK saying that he faced intimidation.
I'm going to say
threatened
it
to
because
be
I'm
beat-
just thinking they might chop all their heads off first. And they might come to my head and think, oh, we've just fucking leave that one. Just leave her. Just, you know, because they've had enough now. You know, they might chop some of the heads off and then they might come to a few last deaths and think, oh, just leave it down. Shove them down there. Slave them for the rest of our lives. Which that's what they become the slaves for Islam, because that's what King Charles wants. And they're probably opposing every fucking government across Europe and the fucking country in the world by the looks of it. So we're all fucked no matter where we go and what we do. They're coming to chop our heads off. Help.
Up outside of a mosque. Have a watch.
I was accosted, essentially, while leafleting,
Black man.
by the vile, bigoted independents.
I was threatened to be beaten up outside of
Black
a
man?
mosque after Friday
Yeah.
prayer as I was leafleting.
Do you get
And
that
the main
in
thing that they said, the thing they constantly said, you're the gay party, you support LGBT. Amir Khan directly said to me, you guys support LGBT, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Their leaflets having AI generated
And that's a black man.
images, and it says, thinking of voting green, think
Because
again.
you're a black man as
The
well,
first
mate. You're
things
not
are
black.
about
You're not
LGBT
Muslim.
stuff. They can threaten me. They can
You're not
say they're gonna
Muslim,
beat me
mate.
up.
If you're not
But
Muslim,
I
if you
will
don't
fight for their
support
minority
Islam,
rights the same way I'll fight for LGBTQ
Right.
minority rights,
then
because I've seen and learned through reading history and through understanding
You're
that the
not in that
moment you
book.
let a government pick and choose,
if you
or
are gay,
any
you
group
are
of
not in
people
my
pick and
book,
choose that
mate. If
one
you
group
support
is
gay
suddenly
that
not safe
stuff,
for
I'll
society,
just get
they
the
can be
fuck.
scapegoated.
Well, I'll be
No
like the
other
Muslims,
minority
mate,
will
and
be
I'll
safe.
tell you to fuck
And
off as well.
minority rights are there to protect everyone. We can coexist with each other. It doesn't matter who anyone loves. It doesn't matter what someone does in their
We
bedroom.
can't.
And to the Muslim views as well, it says in the Quran, you don't force anything onto them, they don't force anything onto you.
Ah,
We
thank
can
you, yeah.
coexist.
Oh yeah, as all it says in the Quran, it's totally fine. Problem solved. Pack up and
It
go.
says in the Quran, murder is sin.
This is.
But it's still
this
murdering
is the
us.
suicidal empathy that Gad Sad talks about. Because don't get me wrong, by the way,
And you should need to know that being gay in the Bible, in the Catholic Church, is also the same sin as it is in the Quran.
To actually serve God.
To
But that's a subject for
to
another
be
time.
gay,
Here,
it's also the
there's
same as
suicidal
being a
empathy
you know, you
point. Where
Catholic
basically,
do
he's
not
saying,
allow
"Oh, I
gay
don't think
people."
anywhere, this is not just about.
Well, back in fucking day in Ireland,
minorities
you
or-
try and
or
go as a gay person
individuals
into
or
a Catholic
certain
church.
groups. He's unwilling to see the fact that certain ideologies can be a problem, and it's not discriminatory to have problems with ideologies. But he won't, stare.
So
them in
how
the
does
face,
he feel now?
At the face.
How
the
does he
problem
feel
of,
that the Islams
radical-
don't like him now? He's black man, and also to do with
Islamic
gay
communities.
people.
And instead he just says, hey, that's not what the Quran says at all. You know, it's perfectly fine. They're just bad. He's basically delusional.
And even me bringing up the Muslim thing is just almost catching their bait, because it's the North Edge Bassin is not some big beef between Muslims and gay people. That's a made up almost sort of Islamophobic characterization of the debate. It's not like Islam is a unique sort of views on homosexuality.
Right, so they're
But
chopped off
The
now.
Muslims here have coexisted and are able to and are willing to coexist with queer.
Oh,
Queer?
good luck, my friend. Good luck, my friend.
They're not.
This is ideology.
They are
on
not
both
willing to
sides.
cooperate
There's
with that.
ideological problems on both
And
sides.
neither am
here.
I.
This video shows how ideology can really lessen intelligence. Because it
And,
stops you and blinds you.
I've not even
from
been
seeing what's actually
baptised
going
for
on.
any religion.
Meanwhile, just showing that,
But
talking
if
of
I have
the,
to go off any religion, I'll have to
hilarious
go off my
inevitable
granddad's
contradictions
religion, which
between
is
both sides.
Christian.
Eden Hills is a transvestite.
Right.
And here she is celebrating her win
Don't give a
with
fuck,
the
she can
Muslim
fuck right
Muslim
off,
ally
mate.
of the Green Party.
No, I just don't like it.
oh,
I don't like this
Bobby
green.
Brown,
I
that
just
Eden
don't like
Hills
this
has been elected as
transvestite.
councillor for the Little London and Woodhouse Lawn.
I'm not
Police
against
Council.
every fucking gay person, right? But I'm not in for that shit. No, it's going too far. I find it's going too far for me. This. Oh, just fuck off. No. No, it's weird. It could just look weird. It sounds weird.
Thank you, Dominic, who is, in my eyes, an angel who will be organising the left wing forever. You are amazing. Thank you to all the people in the polling stations.
That what? He wants to chop his head off. Have you seen the way that Muslim person's looking at him or her or whatever you call it? And you've changed to be a woman and not a man, love. Oh, Jesus. Do they hate women? Yeah, but they hate women. They
And
want to
someone posted
stone
this,
women to
this
death.
meme, thinking of the roof you will toss him from.
I'm going to say, have you seen the way that fucking Islam
Just
guy's
to tell you,
staring at that
mocking how
person?
he
It's like
is.
as if he was
He
going
in
to
that,
kill
in that
him.
same video,
Kill
I think later,
Wasn't happy,
declared
was it?
Allahu Akbar after winning his.
He probably smiled at me
seat.
more.
I saw a hilarious meme.
I mean, he
of
probably
someone
gave me
saying,
the
when you
same
join
look
the
as well,
Green Party,
mate, I
it's just
suppose.
got him going, Allahu Akbar.
I'd have got the
And
same
this
look,
is
I
who he is.
suppose, as well, but I mean, Jesus Christ. Because I'm a woman and I'm English and I'm white.
Shame on this country. Shame on the Western government who belongs. Shame on the Western! Shame on the Western!
What for?
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
What for? What got shamed of?
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
And they're very much united in the Palestine cause, and we'll talk a bit about that as well in a moment. Of course, Greta Thunberg, another great example of that. Now have a look at this clip. The extreme radical left Green Party formed an alliance with Muslims in recent UK elections. Now the Islamists realise they're part of a party that supports
Gay
non-binary
people.
nonsense, extreme gender ideology. They want out. Allah is not impressed. Have a watch.
You're right. The Green Party supports self-identifying gender laws, which means I can wake up in the morning, or Shakil can wake up in the morning as a 6-foot man with a beard and identify as a woman.
Absolutely. For what everyone
Well,
must
definitely
remember,
not in
and
that
they're gonna go to the
culture,
Muslims
mate.
that
I
support
would
the Green
rather
Party, give
change
something
to
in
be
the
a man.
form of
At least I won't
You
get
must
stoned to
understand
death.
the Green Party's policy of way
That'd be
further
funny, but
than
I'd be
the
fine. Well, I'm not tall
We
enough.
must have independent
I'd be a
candidates
very
who speak
small
from the
man.
views of the people and not people who are sitting in London in fancy suits.
They are safeguarding issues as well as moral issues. Women's
no,
sports,
well,
men can
it's
compete
not
in
funny.
them. Women's places, toilets, men can go inside them. These are not little concerns.
It's not
These are
funny,
major
mate, really.
concerns for the community and beyond. And we will continue to identify every policy of the Greens and every other party that goes against your moral and philosophical
I
beliefs.
agree with you on that, though.
There you go.
I
So,
agree with him on that, though,
you know,
mate.
slowly
I
falling
agree with
apart.
them
The
on
question
that.
is, why is it stuck together to date?
I've always
They
agreed
do
on that
have
side that
some
we
common
have men and
interests.
we have
The most common
women.
interest of
We
all
don't
is
have
really seeing the
fucking bang.
destruction of Israel and the West. Now, they also
But
have
that's
differences in their ideology. What they see as the ultimate end of all of that. And it's interesting. I
quite funny,
suspect it's more likely, as we're seeing here, that the Islamists are going to be the ones that are going to break off faster than the Greens. We saw that Green Party activist.
Oh, yeah, so they're
saying
not going to be
everyone
voting the
knows
Green
what they're
Party
saying.
now, so
Islam
now
doesn't
where they're
really
going
have
to?
hatred against me and all that kind of stuff. So,
So the Green Party are going to be gone
they
now.
just want a destruction of the West and just chaos. Whereas at least the Islamists, yeah, they want destruction, but then they want to have their caliphate and their Islamist dominance. So they're seeking to replace it with something else as well, rather than just descending into chaos and anarchy. But essentially, what they are both united against in different ways is against the biblical moral order, against the Torah,
Oh, yeah.
which really, it's those values, the Torah values, the biblical values that made the West great. Certainly made America
And then,
great.
like I said, we had
I'm not saying
Sadiq
it's
Khan
perfect, the Western world, and they haven't just been
going to Macau, thinking he's very, very fucking clever.
Power, its moral edge.
And I'll tell you why he
Its
went to
principles being based
Macau.
on that. The Islamists want to undo that order and instead
I'll tell you why I
impose
went to Macau,
Islamist,
mate. You're not listening
theology,
to an English
ideology,
person like me. I'm
which,
proper
of course,
English,
is a
mate.
corruption, a perversion
Over
of God's will.
1,500 years worth of English.
But on the progressive side, it's also anti-God.
I've got books of my
They
family,
may dress it
lots
up
and
as
lots of
just, we're
books
just
from my family.
pro-LGBT rights, we're just pro-women's rights, all those things, pro-animal rights, but actually what they're doing is seeking to destroy the foundations of different identities that God created for our world. That there are differences between man and woman, between the Jewish people and the other nations, that there are
gay people and stuff. He's against
certain
God's against them.
moral responsibilities and accountability
No,
and principles that apply, even in private. Whereas
I'm going to say, but like, is the much what this is now, changing your sex and things. I'm not with that.
Destroy
That
all
is
those identities that God
I'm
created.
sorry,
And if you
no.
really dig into it, you'll see that's what it's all about.
God
They
told
claim
us to be grateful for who we are and what we're born as.
Pro-women, actually, what they're doing is dissolving the family unit, the family structure, dissolving women's own sense of self-identity and self-worth. The fundamental mistake that's made by the communist side
them
is
gay
thinking
men
that
have
if we're all
changed it to be a
completely
woman,
dissolved,
but they
all
don't
our
fucking
differences are all
represent.
completely
The
same,
Islamists
then
don't
we'll all
represent
have the
women.
same word. No.
So why would
It
they
is
change to be a
our
woman if they're
difference
gay
that
men?
gives us our dignity. That's what the late, blessed memory, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs
Well, they don't
said.
support gays, and they also don't like women.
Different to someone else.
Why would you be a man and change to be a
I
woman?
have something unique to contribute. If we're all the same, then I'm dispensable. And that is, of course, why communism has
And we're
produced
not all the same, and we
more
can't
deaths
all
as
be
an
the
ideology
fucking
than any
same
other,
either. Like I've already said,
ideology
what do
in
they all want
history
us to look
of
like? We're all
humanity.
fucking Chinese.
But they see as their common enemy
Japanese.
the Jew.
I'm not
Israel.
calling Japanese and
And that
Chinese,
is
but we
not
can't all look
an
like we're
accident.
Japanese and
That
Chinese,
should
can
tell
we?
you all you need to know.
Ah, we can't all look the same,
The
we can't
Jewish
all be
people
the
and
same
supporters
colour.
of the Jewish people in
I'm
Israel.
going to say, we can't all
It
be
should
the
tell
same
you
religion, we can't
that
be the same
if you
colour.
can understand that what they're pursuing is
And
evil,
we all don't
is
come
wrong,
from the same
is
lands.
immoral, it should give us all hope. The fact that they look to us as their common enemy, their primary enemy, that what we have to offer is the fundamental antidote to all of that. And speaking of which, our new documentary outlines this negative force that we've been talking about in a very specific biblical terminology. It's controversial, it needs
Well, I
unpacking.
have a few
It's the
ways
word
of getting sorted
Amalek.
this out.
Have a watch. If you want to watch the full
Will
thing,
it? But I have probably
full
my own
documentary,
ideas of what
just
it
click on the
needs
link
to be
below
done.
in the video description. Let me show you the trailer. On October
And also,
28, 2023, just days
people think
after the
it's-
Hamas
if people
October
think
7th
it's quite
massacre,
finger,
Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, stood before the
with
cameras
what I've been
and
saying,
quoted
then,
it.
well,
בחורק אשר עשה לך מע עמלק נצטווינו.
The Israel critics reacted with horror, but almost nobody stopped to ask, what does it actually mean?
well, the
Amalek.
monarchy critics,
The
well,
word
the
is
people that
thousands
support
of years
monarchy will
old.
be
It
probably
appears
horrified
in the
with what
Torah,
I've
the
been
Bible,
saying about
in the
chopping King
Talmud,
Charles's
in
head
the
off.
writings of the great
But that's
rabbis.
as far
The
as
Torah
that's as
command
far
is
as it needs to
clear.
go.
Amalek must be wiped out. And yet, most people have almost no idea what Amalek really is. Because Amalek is not simply an ancient tribe, it's a force, a spiritual virus, the voice inside civilizations, and
And King
inside
Charles
every
doesn't like
single
it, so he
human
don't want you
being
to have your own
that
voice.
whispers, nothing is sacred, morality
He
isn't
wants us
worth
to be
it,
fucking
and
dead.
it sees as its greatest enemy the Jews. 3,000
Well,
years
King
of
Charles
Jewish
is,
wisdom says
hate
this
on the
force
Jews, mate.
is the
It's
most
Turk,
dangerous
it's a
thing in the
Turkish,
world. And
Turkey,
amazingly, the Talmud,
and
written
German.
almost 2,000 years ago,
King Charles,
names a
everybody
place
thinks,
it
I could
calls
say, everybody
Germania,
thinks
and
King
it
Charles
predicts
is the
if
king
this
of
force were
England.
ever
He's
fully
British, he's
unleashed,
not
it would
British.
destroy the world. Germania sounds familiar. Centuries later, the Jewish thinkers who crawled out of the Nazi death camps sat with that passage and felt the ground move beneath them. In this JCV Plus documentary, we're going to reveal
It does
what
look
Amalek really is, what the commandment to
It does
eliminate
look
Amalek really means, and why its defeat is the condition for the redemption of the world. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content,
And
click on the
it's
link
like,
in the
this
video
Islam thing, I
description.
think it's just been, well, and I mean, I can't just blame the Muslims for it. The person I can blame for this in England, but I would say would be people like King Charles. I mean, we got Sadiq Khan, yeah. This is so funny about Sadiq Khan, yeah. Going over to Mecca. There's a really, well, he was going there for Eid and that as well, whatever. But he was also going there because what I watched last night is that Dubai, they stopped basically people going to. They don't want anybody going to the universities over here anymore. So basically, I think he's gone there to try and sort of deal out with them people, and basically somehow he's been told to do one, I reckon, and he's ended up talking about fucking gay rights and fucking alcohol in Mecca. What the fuck's wrong with that man? Is he gone stupid? What is wrong with these people?
To someone else, that means
Oh, it's
I'm
a
indispensable. I have something you need to contribute. If we're all the same, then I'm dispensable.
Yeah.
Hi, Ellie. I'm meeting Ellie at her synagogue, a place where she feels safe showing her religious identity. Unlike in our national.
An 85-year mirror. June 5th. Different years, different stories. The first 7 days of the month of June have delivered some of the most significant events of the past 85 years. The events that unfolded on these exact days also show just how dramatically the situation of the Jewish people has changed over that time period, and what it means for us today. The first date of significance is, of course, June 6, 1944, D-Day. The day the Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy in the Operation Overlord. Just 2 days earlier, on June 4th, 1944, Rome had been liberated from the Nazi control, and it was finally clear that the direction of the Second World War was turning. But while the Allies were hitting the beaches, millions of Jews remained completely defenseless, trapped in the final, most brutal phase of the Holocaust. A catastrophe that was the consequence of years of systematic dehumanization and vilification of the Jews across Europe. And even with the defeat staring them in the face, the Nazis, together with their Hungarian collaborators, stayed fixed on their goal: destroy the Jews. In June 1944, they were in the midst of deporting 437,000 Hungarian Jews to the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp. They registered and documented every single Jewish man, woman, and child that they sent to their death. The vulnerability of the Jewish people in those years and the effort to destroy Jewish life wasn't just confined to the Holocaust in Europe. Even far from Europe, in the heart of the Middle East, Jews faced enemies who sought their annihilation. The Jews had no state, no army, and no means of protection. Another date in early June brutally underscores that point. June 1st and 2nd, 1941, in Baghdad, the Farhud, a violent pogrom that tore through a Jewish community that had flourished there in Iraq for more than 2,500 years. In the span of 2 days, Jews who had been integral to the cultural and economic life of Iraq found themselves utterly defenseless as Muslim mobs attacked homes, looted property, and murdered Jewish men, women, and children in the streets of Baghdad. All this ended with the creation of the modern state of Israel. And here we jump to the next date for this week, to June 5th, 1967. The Six-Day War begins and signifies the shift more than anything else. Just 22 years after the death camps, after the attempt at our annihilation, 7 Arab armies mobilized with a single, openly declared goal: to finish what the Nazis had begun. Except that this time the Jewish people were not scattered, were not stateless, and were not defenseless. This time we had a state, we had an army. We had the ability for the first time in 2,000 years to protect ourselves. And when those armies closed in, Israel didn't just wait to be slaughtered. We fought back, and we won a decisive, absolute victory. But that didn't discourage our enemies. June 7th, 1981 is another significant day in this week, when Israel carried out Operation Opera. Iraq, the same country where Jews had been hunted in the Farhud just 40 years earlier, was now racing to build a nuclear weapon at its Osirak reactor. A bomb designed explicitly to threaten Israel with total destruction. Israel didn't wait around to see how the story would unfold. We've been there. We've done that. We took responsibility for our own survival and eliminated the threat ourselves. It was a brilliant act of preemptive self-defense. But the world, it couldn't handle Jews defending themselves once again. The UN Security Council and the United Nations General Assembly unleashed condemnations against Israel. Western media had a meltdown. The New York Times called the strike inexcusable and short-sighted, while the Los Angeles Times went as far as labeling it state-sponsored terrorism. Sounds familiar. Amazing how the world has always struggled with the idea of Jews refusing to remain vulnerable. And then, 1 year later, on June 6, 1982, Israel set out again on an Operation Shlomo Galil. I was then one of the IDF paratroopers who sailed late at night before landing on the beaches, this time of the Awali River near Damour in Lebanon, to dismantle the PLO that had for years assaulted our civilians in the north of Israel. The PLO, an organization committed to denying Jewish self-determination and orchestrating attacks on Israeli civilians. And despite years of international guarantees and Israeli efforts to find a peaceful resolution to the circumstances with Lebanon, as we arrive at this June 5th, we find ourselves once again operating there. But now, a nation scarred by the events of October 7th. Shocked that our enemies did not share the desire for peace and compromise. That the concessions we made in the name of pursuing peace, the ceding of territories, and the recognition of a sworn enemy, these were all used to attempt our annihilation once again. This time, the pogroms our ancestors experienced in Europe or in the Muslim world occurred in the very state created to prevent that from ever occurring again. Difference is that this time we do not have to wait for liberators or protectors who never showed up when needed. Now we are taking our security into our own hands and removing the threats directed against us. I stress the threats. We are not the aggressor here. The evidence is right in front of anybody who wants to see it. This here is the Arab town of Al-Fahim in the state of Israel, one of around 144 Israeli Arab towns and villages. Full Israeli citizens enjoying equal rights. Then there are areas allocated by the Agreement for the Palestinian Authority. They prosper and grow, just like Gaza did, as long as they do not attempt to attack us. And just like the Kingdom of Jordan, seen here on a clear evening from the center of Jerusalem, the lights you see are Arab homes in the PA areas, and the lights in the distance, they're Jordan. We have shown what our abilities are over this past 2.5 years of war. As long as they respect us, there will be no problems. If Israel had wanted to genocide or colonize, there wouldn't be any of these towns or cities that you've seen here left. We wouldn't have given up the territory we took on June 5th, 1967, or the land we withdrew from in Lebanon and also in Gaza. We're back there now for one reason alone. Instead of building a future and accepting our existence here, the enemy decided it would be a good idea to exploit our gestures of peace in order to try to destroy us. It didn't work. As long as they do not make the mistake of threatening us, these lights that you saw in these pictures, they'll shine on. If they decide to go the way of Hamas or Hezbollah, they'll learn the same lesson. Messing with Israel is not a smart idea. I will touch more on where Israel stands on June 5th of this year in a moment. Before that, I want to address the issues that are in the news at this time to give you the context that will let you understand where we're at. The main stories this week are developments in Lebanon, Gaza, and of course the reported tensions between Netanyahu and Trump. I'll start with that to help put it to a rest. How often have we heard about these supposed tensions over the past year? Every time the headlines flash the news. And then Trump sets the record straight. And as in this past January, for example, when we learned that Trump and Netanyahu were actually playing the media. The media's interest in spreading the news is obvious. First, generate interest and gain exposure. But there's also another aspect, that they're hoping to hurt Israel's standing and hurt Netanyahu politically, especially in an election year. But there's a lot more going on, a lot more behind the scenes. Galei Israel political correspondent Yaakov Bardugo reported that there was indeed a serious disagreement between Trump and Netanyahu in their conversation. But it never reached a point of anger or the remarks mentioned by Israeli journalist Barak Ravid. And I want to stress on this point, that yes, Trump did confirm the fact that he said that Netanyahu was crazy. But yes, in his eyes, Netanyahu is crazy for going forth with the war. But there are tensions all the time between leaders. They both represent different interests and different countries. And for Trump, it's very important to show to all those who believe that Trump is being led by Netanyahu, that he's still the president of the strongest nation in the world. Barak Ravid claims that he spoke personally with Trump and was updated about the conversation. But he added that his source in the White House, he is the one who gave him the sketchy details of things that Trump supposedly said. Well, I worked with media for many years, as a member of the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem and with different prime ministers. At times, I was asked to be a source, an anonymous source for something we wanted to get out for many different reasons. And there was one particular prominent journalist reporting for all the news that's print to fit, a complete bonehead we knew would be useful and who we could manipulate as we wanted. Same thing is happening here, only in the opposite direction. With regards to what is happening in Lebanon, it is important to remember that so far Israel has eliminated more than 10,000 Hezbollah terrorists, 2,500 of them since the launch of Roar of the Lion, and 800 since the so-called ceasefire. For comparison, during the entire Second Lebanon War, Israel killed only 700 members of Hezbollah. Hezbollah now also has tens of thousands of wounded, those beeper victims. Israel is holding hundreds of square kilometers, systematically wiping out villages from above and below ground, establishing positions, and this week even taking the strategically positioned Beaufort fortress in southern Lebanon.
Yeah,
Of course, there are those in the
living in
international
Israel.
community, France and the United Nations, who stress we
We
must
still took
adhere
over
to the
Israel,
ceasefire.
mate.
We've been through
They're
that.
still living in Israel because they're still
1978,
taking
UN
over. They
Resolution
can't go to the
425
synagogue
creates
thing in
UNIFIL
Israel.
to stop the PLO. The result?
So,
Failure.
I don't get it.
2006, UN Resolution 1701 expands UNIFIL to disarm and stop Hezbollah. The result? Well, failure again. History has proven that
Yeah, but
international
what?
paper guarantees are worthless
How
and
about
leave the
them
Jewish
getting them
people
out of
exposed to
Israel in the
those who wish
first
to annihilate us.
place?
But while all of this is happening, Israel cannot risk
I'm gonna send
undermining what is unfolding
I'm
between
getting
the
used to
United
the
States and
synagogue
Iran
back in the
regarding the
first place.
enrichment of uranium and possibly even the fall of the Iranian regime. And therefore,
Worship a
Prime
prayer
Minister is
first
doing the
place. Right?
smart thing and cooperating with the President of the United States.
Well, why
As
is
for
he?
the
If
situation
that's
in
the case,
Gaza,
why is he
Channel
allowing
14
Muslims and
military
that to take
correspondent
over
Tamir
the
Morag
actual
summed it up
streets in
best in a
Israel?
post this week. He says, quietly and yes, even slowly, Israel is on track in the coming weeks to complete the clearing of 70% of the Gaza Strip from Hamas. Not the empty land areas, but areas that at the start of the war were home to hundreds of thousands of people. In the remaining 30% of Gaza, Hamas is only a pale shadow of what it was at the beginning of the war. Its military commanders are being eliminated one after the other, and it does not dare, or may not be capable of launching even a single missile rocket in the direction of Israel. However, he says, we must not fool ourselves. Hamas still controls the center of the Gaza Strip. It's rebuilding its strength and is preparing for another confrontation with Israel. The work, he said, is not finished, and the objectives have not yet been achieved. The ceasefire framework is effectively dead. Hamas, as expected, did not disarm, and Israel is systematically taking bites out of the territory allocated to Hamas under the agreement. This is a strategy now, and it must end with 100% of the strip cleared of the Hamas cancer. Also in Gaza this week, the Israeli Elite Task Force, Nili, a joint Mossad and Shin Bet unit created to track down and eliminate every Hamas terrorist who participated or planned the October 7th massacre attack, they located, identified, and took out Yusuf Aish Awad Ramkhan, deputy commander of the Hamas terrorist Nuh Basel. Ramkhan took part in the abductions of Or Levy, Alona Hal, Elia Cohen, and the late Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who was murdered by Hamas while in captivity. This unit has been very successful in gathering the evidence and identifying and locating the perpetrators of the atrocities of October 7th. And this is the only way to deal with them. Not bringing them to trial and not sentencing them to an execution.
You don't see,
I'm opposed to the death penalty here in
say.
Israel because it will turn the terrorists into
You said you
international
don't ever
celebrities
see.
and allow European governments to be self-righteous at our expense. They were the same
European
people
governments.
who defended Eichmann and said that we should put him to death. And remember, if there was ever in the history of mankind a person more deserving of a death sentence, it was Adolf Eichmann. So, take them out on the battlefield, quietly and systematically, freeing us of their presence, and don't bring them to Israel. Meanwhile, many here in Israel are complaining and saying that we're returning to the circumstances and the mistakes of the past.
Yeah.
The point is this: retreating and attempting to appease the enemy by focusing solely on defense has only strengthened them. It reinforced not just their determination, but also the cultivation of their capabilities. Because of sheer numbers, it doesn't matter how many of them we neutralize. They outnumber us by a massive margin. But they also have developed capabilities that threaten us strategically. Only luck prevented them from executing their plan on October 7th. For years, they possessed tactical capabilities, rocket fire, terrorist attacks, things that disrupt daily life, as tragic as they may be, but do not threaten our very existence. Turning a blind eye and tolerating their aggression and violations of agreements has only served to empower them. The war now is about the systematic dismantling of the threats to our existential survival. All in all, in this war in Gaza, Israel has taken 220 square kilometers. In Lebanon, Israel has so far settled 600 square kilometers. In Syria, Israel controls roughly 1,000 square kilometers. It's officially less, but in practice it's more. Hamas, by prematurely jumping the gun, ended up with allocating to Israel an area of influence nearly 10 times larger than before, allowing Israel to increase its geographic and strategic strength. I opened today's show speaking about where Israel and the Jewish people stood on June 5th in years of the past. I want to end today by looking at where Israel stands on this June 5th. The Israeli currency, the new Israeli shekel, is one of the strongest currencies in the world right now, trading against the dollar and the euro at historic levels, touching a near 33-year high. This comes after Israel's GDP defied every international forecast and grew by a remarkable 3.1% last year. The British Economist ranked Israel as the sixth strongest economy in the developed world, ahead of Germany, ahead of the UK, and ahead of even the United States.
Well, not surprised when we've got all the illegal immigrants
while Israel
thrown
is
in,
fighting
eh?
a war on multiple fronts, while we are targeted by disinformation campaigns, while we face boycotts and diplomatic hostility from much of the Muslim world as well as from Europe. We're a country the size of an Arab average European
Well,
canton,
we're not being
and with a
funny.
population smaller than many major global cities.
We're tiny as
And
well.
yet, we have one of the strongest economies in the West.
And yet we're being
We have the
crushed to
highest birth
death.
rate in the developed world.
And we do not
We
see
rank among
fucking
the
Israel
happiest
for
nations on
helping
earth,
fucking
and number
England.
one among people under the age of 25. So, for all you haters out there,
Well, I
you
don't
failed.
hate Israel.
All I can say is this: bring it
All I
on.
can say is I'm
Keep
English,
on hating
and
because
we don't
we
seem to be
thrive on
helping
it.
England, do we?
Those of you who hate on us do
Just
so
throw all
because
these
you are
fucking
miserable,
illegals to
leading
Europe,
meaningless
yeah?
lives, lacking direction and
No, we
purpose.
don't seem to be helping
So you
Europe.
have to create a purpose by hating on the Jews. You are envious and pathetic, clueless, purposeless, childless, meaningless, empty, and you curse us. You are also a joke because you are so unoriginal. Because it's all happened before. We've been there. We've done that. Not just the hate and the violence, but the essence. Those who seek to curse us end up blessing us. Those who seek to curse us end up strengthening us. Taken straight out of the biblical story of
I'm not
Balak,
cursing him,
you're
mate.
like Bilam's ass. Only unlike Bilam's donkey, you asses don't see the truth. You're just like Bilam, he the prophet for hire. Like many of you, his services could be bought. He had skills and used them to devastating effect, but he had no commitments, no loyalties, no rootedness in humanity. Bilam was hired to curse us, and it ended up blessing us. And just so you know, there is independent evidence that Bilam actually existed. An archaeological discovery in 1967 near the Jordan River uncovered an inscription on the wall of a pagan temple dated to the 8th century BCE, which makes reference to a seer named Bilam ben Beol in terms very similar to the passage in the Bible. And the weekly biblical passage, the Parashah of Balak, will be read at the end of, yes, you got it, the month of June. And so I'll end with his words spoken thousands of years ago, yet describing exactly what we see in Israel today. He does not look at wickedness in Jacob, and he does not see wrongdoing in Israel. The Lord their God is with them, and the acclamation of a king is within them. Behold, a people like a lioness rises, and lifts itself like a lion. It does not lie down until it consumes its prey. And then the blessing that has echoed throughout our history. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Israel. How beautiful are your tents, Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel. Like valleys they stretch out, like gardens beside a river. He crouches, he lays down like a lion. Who dares rouse him? Blessed are those who bless thee, and cursed are those who curse thee. Blessings to all of you joining Israel and us today. I'm Daniel Seaman. Thank you for watching Straight Up from the JNS TV studios in the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem, Israel.
What about the English
I'll see
people
you
in
again next
England?
week.
No, I'm not being funny. But whenever anything bad happens to any Jews over here in England, all the English people go out and help and stick up for the Jews. But yeah,
I want to talk to you about something that just happened in.
That's what I'm about to say. This is, you know.
You won't believe why these scholars in Brussels have decided to hold a meeting
That don't belong
in
to
regards
Brussels, though.
to
They don't
Belgium's
belong to
education
Brussels, do they?
reforms. So here you can see that they have peacefully blocked the street with a great ball of fire. And here you can see a man who is peacefully breaking the glass of a public bus stop.
They don't belong in Brussels, part of the fucking immigrants. I've
Once
watched
you
it and
guys
there's a
find out the
Rango in it in a
reason
minute.
why they are protesting, you will realize
Orangutan,
that the
wrong.
damage that they are doing is way more costly than the thing that they are so very upset about.
Oh my
As soon
God.
as I heard about what is happening in Brussels, I made a post about it on my Leering Center, and coffee time is coming up on Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're going to be discussing World War 11. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I meant World War II, because it is
Right.
after World War II when Belgium in Brussels began to import people
Yeah.
from Morocco and from Turkey
everywhere.
to try to make up their workforce, but now it has completely
Turkey.
changed the demographic of their
Fucking
country.
Turkey.
As you can see here, this does not at all look like a European country.
No, it's like King Charles went to get his religion changed. Fucking Turkey. Well, he is Cypriot.
In fact,
But I think
it
he's
looks
Turk more than
pretty
Greek.
dirty. There's lots of trash on the ground.
Yeah,
And
same as
unfortunately,
England.
the people who have migrated there have not assimilated
No.
and have changed
And if you
the
call it
country
out, you're
completely. That is why when you
Islamophobic.
get off of the train in Europe in 2026, it
By
looks like
orangutans
this.
that
So
look like
I believe that this is
orangos.
a clip that comes from
Wrong,
Brussels,
wrong.
as it says right there, and this person
Well,
is
that's
just getting
orangutan
hassled
world, mate.
nonstop.
Can I ask you what you're doing?
So
He's
yeah,
put
it
back
just
in
doesn't
orangutan
look
where it's disgusting.
very nice. Not sure why the people left, if they went to a place just to make it look like the place that they left. It is time to tell you guys why they are protesting. You're gonna think that it's so ridiculous. So they were paying 835 euros
They're
in
not
fees
paying
to
nothing.
attend
These ain't going to
the
any college.
university.
No,
Okay,
they're not
now
going college.
they're proposing that they increase that
They're
to
not going college. None of them are from the
€1,194,
university.
and that is the reason why they are making millions of dollars of damage to their city. So I don't understand how they think things are going to get cheaper in that instance. Where would they get the money from if now they need to spend that money to fix their city?
Yeah,
so
but they're not
so
people from the
upset that
college.
This is a 35% jump in fees. I really hope that the Liberals do not get recommended this on their Instagram or TikTok feeds. Well, first of all, if they did, maybe then they would realize that mass immigration is a bad thing, and then they would be against the invasion of our country, and they would be in favor of the deportations. So I don't think that they're getting recommended this, but I'm afraid that if they do, they will see, oh, they're upset about 400 euros being increased in their college fees, and then they're going to
They
think,
can
well,
do
why
all
am
that.
I
Why can't they go
spending
chop King Charles's
hundreds
head
and
off?
hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a degree
The
that
first
then
one,
isn't helping
first
me
one of
get a
these
job because I
radicalised
never
people that
actually
can go and
learned
get his head
life
off. I
skills,
fucking can get
like
blue
how
feet.
to,
It's
I
bad.
don't know, actually
You
show
can
up
do
for
all
work
that.
and not just strike all the time. The type of behavior, this way of thinking is so
They can't go and
ridiculous,
get King
because how
Charles.
is this going to make your message
Why
strong
don't they get into
or
Brussels, the
actually
actual
cause
parliament?
change within
Why
your
don't they get into
government?
number 10? Oh, God, I don't give a fuck. They can.
So apparently, as you can see, they have backpacks on, which is maybe kind of scary because you don't really know. You see people throwing fireworks, you don't really know what these backpacks are containing. By the way, Belgium is a member of NATO, so this is an ally of ours that, another ally of America that seems to be a Muslim country now. As I was
Yeah.
going to say, this was supposed to be a protest of
Just King
students and
Charles.
teachers, and whether or not that
And the
protest
rest
got
of them,
taken over by
Pope
some
and all the
bad
rest of the
actors,
cunts that
or
wrote
those
them.
bad actors are the teachers, is a little bit unclear, because it seems like they think that this is the
I'm
best
fully
way
English.
to get attention to this issue, whereas the real issue is
Because
the
they're
fact
all
that their country
mongrels,
has been
mongrels.
invaded,
They're all
and now
mongrels.
it's just
They say they
looks
don't like
this.
fucking mongrels. Well, they are all mongrels. They don't know where they're from. They don't know where they're born. They don't know who they belong to. Apart from Allah. Allah Bakbar. Allah.
Alright, so are you guys ready for some facts? In Belgium, it used to be 1 to 2% of the population
Yeah.
was Muslim, and now it is at 23%. And I said
It's not
Belgium,
23%.
but I meant to say in Brussels.
No.
Of course, it always starts in the cities and then it begins to go
Yeah,
out
but it's
into
not
the
double it.
smaller
Everything,
towns. Now,
everything
it's
you've
one
got
thing
there,
when
love,
people are
double.
immigrating
It's
somewhere and then
43%.
they
It's not
begin to adopt that
23%.
culture and begin to
You can tell it's not
contribute,
23%.
but
You
when
can
they
tell
come
it's
and
literally
boom, they just do the same
bursting by
exact
the
thing.
bubble,
I believe that
by the
that
seam,
is
because
an
they're all
issue.
coming here
This
to
post
England.
says that Brussels has over 70% of its residents as
Non-European.
non-European.
You double it.
So this is why more and
140%.
more people are becoming increasingly
Don't
concerned
think there's
and
anybody
wanting
there.
to
I mean, we can't even go on holiday from England.
We're going to be talking
I'm going to
about
say
the
where I'm going to go to.
Anthony trial here in just
I'm
a
going to go to
second.
Spain or
And
France
specifically
from
one man
England. I
who
mean,
was
we're not
very
safe in England.
unhinged
They're
and
safe
said
anywhere.
exactly
The fucking
what
world's
he
not
was
safe.
thinking. But meanwhile, they're blocking roads in Belgium and just giving their country a bad name and a bad look. Now people are pointing out that the homelessness is also really bad there. Doesn't seem like their country is able to sustain all of these people. Here's a clip of a man. He's saying it in a
King
different
Charles is
language.
partly
I'll tell you what he says. In 30 years, France and Belgium will
German.
be Muslim.
King Charles is partly German and, well, it says Greek, but I think they've been lying with the Greek part. I think he's Turkish.
I mean, we are definitely seeing that, and unfortunately, countries across the world are beginning to have a butts in the air epidemic, and it's not very good.
It
I
must
don't understand
stink if
why
anybody
they're just
farts.
throwing random things into this fire.
Don't like nobody
and
farting,
in
yeah.
fact, it's actually pretty scary to see many thousands of mass
Stink.
individuals with a big fire and willing and able to put anything in that fire that they want. So I would not want to be
Including
in
the
this place
humans and the
and
dogs.
voice any disagreement with them or even record them exposing what they do, because I fear that that could be very dangerous. And of course, it just creates a bad situation for parents with young children who are just trying to get home or just trying to go to school, and the streets are blocked off, one, because they either look like this or there is fire. And so this clip went extremely viral because Elon Musk shared it, and it is a
And it's been criticised
from
again.
Belgium who says that she wants a Europe without Europeans. So again, this is in a different language.
Et si ces gens-là qui portent des tissus de tenture, je peux donner les références si vous voulez.
And then we've got the Jews just saying it's about the
So they
Jews.
translated it for us, and I did see some articles of people, because it got so much traction. You can see 48.4 million views. People were like, no, this is completely taken out of context. Yet, if that's what she said, not really sure how it could be taken out of context. Especially when we do see the actual context and real videos coming out of Belgium.
Well, they're saying that all the time. They're saying that in England, aren't they? Look, England looks the same. I'm actually going to buy a burqa for my fucking self.
Where we become numb to seeing this content of,
I'm not Muslim, but I'm going to buy one just to protect myself.
This is how France looks. This is right here how Belgium looks, and it doesn't look like a European country. So at this point, I think that it would be more unique to see European countries where there's actual Europeans. And actually, we could hear.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to go to Mecca.
The best place in the world to get that type of content would be.
I think the English and the Scottish. I think all the Europeans need to go and run into Mecca.
They are celebrating. It looks like they are celebrating.
And we'll have to be millions and trillions because you can't kill
public.
millions and trillions,
You
like
have
you
a
say.
lot of families here, and it looks very nice. Everybody looks dressed very nice. It looks proper. It looks like they're celebrating First Communion. And meanwhile, in Brussels, you have Muslims who are going in to Catholic churches and taking over the altar. It just seems like the ultimate disrespect.
And King Charles is allowing it.
It's just so sad because the
You
music
should have the rest chopped
inside
off.
of Catholic
Yeah.
churches is so
Beautiful.
beautiful. Christians have the very best songs, and then for
And
some
these are
reason,
handy songs.
this
Devil.
guy is singing a song that makes it sound like he's suffering really bad
Yeah.
inside of a beautiful Catholic church that they had to cover with all of their decorations and paper to try to hide the beauty of Catholicism. So let's go ahead and talk about this unhinged guy right here. If somebody was saying such horrendous things as that man was to a minority, YouTube would be like, okay, we're not going to allow this type of language. But I'm wondering, and I don't really want to
Fat
test, if
fucking
YouTube
bastard,
would be totally fine
Rango.
with it,
Fuck
since
off,
they were
Rango.
things
Back to
being
your cage, you
said
fat
to a
fuck.
white person.
I think we need to
He
take
was
a few of
saying
them
that
McDonald's
the
burgers
only
away from that
good
factory.
cracker is the cracker that is
Kick them in the
unalived.
balls.
So you can see
Yeah,
that this
fat
group
fuck,
of black people was
Black people.
racially attacking these two white people across
Ah.
the street who were a minority
Ah,
in that
Black
place.
people.
And so
Do
just
they not
really
want to go back
insane
to
that they're
Nigeria
totally
and get
okay
slaughtered
with
by Islam?
trying to make this a racial thing.
Yeah, well, we
Even
can go and get
after
slaughtered by
Austin,
Islam.
the victim's dad has come out and said, please do not make this a racial thing. They want this to be a racial thing. They want us, them specifically, they want us to know that they don't like white people. And that they do want to see us
As
underline
Africans, when
the
they're being
hate
slaughtered
saying
by
that
Islams.
He literally was
How about
telling
that?
this
Why
white
not?
guy
Why
that
are the Africans
he
not
will
coming out and
take out his
actually
life
taking
if he
out
ever
the
sees him in a
Islamists?
different city. He says where he
Because
grew
they're
up,
slaughtering
they
the
always
African
get
fats,
rid
that's like
of
him.
white people. He says that he loves the smell of burning skin. So
Well, that's why they burn them then in Africa, then, is it?
For some reason, Carmelo Anthony
People
has
like him.
attracted this audience.
Maybe
of
people like him is why they're
who are trying to
burning
defend
Africa.